And that's our podcast.
All right.
Done. That one's in the bag. What's up, everybody? Josh Allen, a.k.a. Lore, Mike B, a.k.a. Fony, Don't Get Your Hopes Up, etc.
Mm-hmm.
This is our thing that we do where we talk about stuff.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Quite a few things.
Yeah.
I mean, you know, maybe.
You know, just some things.
There's possibly.
Yeah. So, first article of business for today to be presented before the jury of the internet.
Our peers.
Jury of our internet peers, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Our peer-to-peer jury. iTunes, we're on it. Hooray! Hooray, clapping. You can now find us on iTunes as Don't Get Your Hopes Up, which I know is a huge surprise to everyone. You never would have guessed that.
It'd been hard to find.
Yeah. Yeah, that apparently happened sometime in the like massive 3-week, 4-week, year-long hiatus that we were on because of BlizzCon.
I did a thing during that hiatus.
Good work.
I did a thing during that hiatus because remember initially there was no real like click here to submit, click here to do whatever, right? It was just kind of like do this, and then wait 3 shows and then come back to us.
I hope that eventually iTunes takes notice of you.
Yeah, right. And I went through again, and there was this new form that I hadn't seen before. Now it could have been there the whole time, and maybe I'm just now noticing it.
Probably was.
I know, probably was. But but I threw our stuff in there, and it went through, I guess, the review process. And they're apparently sticklers for the whole like restricted thing. So if you go and you're explicit, so if you go look us up and it says explicit, I mean, they're sticklers about it, so we really kind of had to. I mean, we did talk about porn on an episode once, so you know, we kind of have to put those guidelines in. No children.
I said a potty word once.
Yeah. Oh yeah. I might have once. During any random 5-minute segment, I'm sure I did.
Yeah. It's kind of like Twitch with their 30-minute block of muting. If you say a bad word within a 30-minute block, then
oh god.
They should actually put that on Twitch. Like if you use a profanity, it like blocks out the audio for 30 minutes in your VOD. No one would ever have sound.
This is like Demolition Man stuff or whatever. Or,
yeah.
Yeah, is that Demolition Man or the other one that was basically the same movie with Sylvester Stallone?
I don't remember.
The 3 seashells start cursing at the wall and it starts spitting out.
Oh yeah, that was Demolition Man.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Kind of like that. Just start penalizing us real time.
Yeah.
That would be impressive, actually. If they could start picking up on curse words like that, we mean, it would be pretty shitty, obviously. But
I think you mean it would be pretty
poopy.
Bad.
Bad?
Yeah. So yeah, we're on iTunes.
Yep.
That's basically that bullet. Checking that one off the list.
Ching.
Done.
You actually did.
So otherwise, I've pretty much been playing and also working. Like my life has been WoW lately. 100%.
Like 100%. Yeah.
Yeah. Like I go to work, I talk about WoW on the forums or on Twitter, or I do random other stuff constantly. I'm in meetings about WoW. I do AMAs about WoW.
Oh, look at you.
I don't know. I like use WoW brand tissue paper. I don't know. Like that'd be weird if that actually existed.
Warcraft the flamethrower.
Yeah, exactly. And then I come home and then I play WoW.
You play some more WoW.
Yeah, I'm actually on WoW right now. I'm keeping an eye on my follower missions because those bastards need to earn their keep.
You know
what I'm saying?
You know, if you had the WoW Head Timer app and the add-on, you would have to sit there the whole time and watch.
I do. I find it annoying to pull my phone out, look at my phone, go, oh, my Garrison mission is done. And then 3 seconds later, I look at my screen and it pops up with the thing that says my Garrison mission is done.
So you just can't log out. It's the problem.
Well, like the issue I have with it, and it's a stupid issue. Like it's not an issue with the app or the add-on at all. It's just the way I am. I'm always on WoW anyway. So when one of my Garrison missions completes, like I have one of two things that will happen as a result of that. either I'm not home and thus can't do anything about it anyway, or I'm already sitting at my computer and able to fix it.
That's pretty funny. It's good for I use it for the really long missions. Because I'll forget that those are even happening. And alt. So I have an alt that's working on stuff. It's like I'm not logged into that account. So if I'm always in one, then I'll just have the timer for the other one.
Yeah, it's definitely good to have for alts, for sure.
For one alt, we're working
should
on
expand the in-game the feature request. Expand the in-game add-on so that it also shows the timers for your alts in-game.
We are working on this.
Oh,
that is like the #1 feature request for the app, anyways. Is to support multiple characters. Yeah, because obviously the idea was, you can use it for your alt while you're playing the other one. Well, some people have like 8 alts, so and they got them all to level 90.25, so they could get into the garrisons and they're starting to farm it out.
Yeah.
Speaking of, I got to visit your garrison for the first time.
You did. It was kind of weird. Like I get this random group invite. And I'm like, all right, whatever. And then all of a sudden, you are now group leader. And there's this little, like, goblin running around going, like, fuck your bench.
This is my town now.
So, yeah, you basically trespassed on my garrison.
I did. Stomp.
That's cool.
Just, like, it took no effort whatsoever. If you are in your garrison and you accept a party invite, prepare to have your shit crashed.
Yeah,
like somebody is going to show up.
Like I think as long as I don't think that the person whose garrison it is, like I don't think the party leader has to be at their garrison for you to go into it. I think you can just invite like some random dude.
Wait a minute, how many people can you get to do this?
I just had the most amazing like trolley thing you could possibly do. So you know how there's the group finder in game now, right?
Yes.
You could be like, oh, I want to do the Shatrat Daily, and there's always like 100 groups for the Shatrat Daily. You could just like join a random one of those groups, and they invite everybody. Go into whoever the leaders is garrison right away. Just be like, yeah, all right, I'm in your garrison now. I mean, you can't do anything. There's nothing like detrimental about it all, but you could just be like going through those until you find someone with an enchanter or something because you want to disenchant things.
And then leave.
Yeah.
Just be like, thanks, bro. I just want to disenchant something.
Yeah, well, like those Apexis Daily groups, they're just a revolving door. Like they're usually set to like anybody can invite. And like the person who organized it left 6 hours ago because he was done.
Yeah,
and the group's just still going because as soon as someone applies to it, they get invited, and it's just this constant flow in and flow out. So honestly, you could even like hang out in there and just like be in this one group, but in the garrison this entire time, and just go through like 20 people's garrisons as soon as like, oh, leader changed, new garrison. Check it out.
Now, here's what I'm thinking. Like, get yourself like a whole bunch of people in a group that you know, right?
Yeah.
And basically find someone that's in their garrison, invite them, make them lead, and have everybody go to the garrison.
Yeah.
Just mob into that. Just start throwing down choo-choo trains and stink bombs and just everything that makes noise. And just have a party.
Would that be? Yeah. Surprise! That'd be like the best way to do like an in-game like birthday surprise party. Like you have a whole like 39-person raid group like all set and ready to go, and someone logs on and you're just like, you just throw them an invite and they accept it, and there's 39 other people in this that suddenly go into their garrison like, surprise, happy birthday.
Oh man,
that's an awesome idea.
What can you do that with? That's got to be so good. I want to do that. I want to do that so bad now.
Yeah, I think you can get a full 40-man raid into one garrison.
That would be... Yes, okay. I want to make that happen.
And in fact, actually, thinking about it, how would that work? Because once you're in someone's garrison, you can leave the party, and it takes a while for it to actually port you out. So...
Like how long? Like minutes?
I'm not actually, I think it's just like if you're in a raid group that you like, you're in the raid instance and you're like, oh, I've left the group, and it'll eventually kick you out. So it's at least like, it usually ends up being around like a minute and a half or something like that. So you could just have people constantly joining the party and leaving the group and joining the party and leaving the group. Join party, view leader's garrison, leave the group, and just end up with like 100 people in one person's garrison.
Choo choo!
Happy birthday! That'd be the worst.
Oh man. Yes. Wow.
So that's a good idea.
That's a good idea. That should be done. So yeah, and then we were going. So you came to my garrison, and you were kind of stomping around a little bit, and we were pointing out all the things that are standard.
Yeah.
And the trade post came up.
Trading post.
Yeah, and you were like, and
that's
so
pretty much
true.
mandatory.
Yeah, like as early as possible. That one, yeah, because the trade post. And is the trade post also the one that does? That gives you a higher probability of getting an upgrade, or is that's another one?
I think that's the war mill that does that.
Is the war mill? Okay.
Yeah.
Like those two early. I wish I'd gotten those early on. Like I'm actually gonna do that for the Darnell character. I'm gonna try to get that early, so that way, because he's got like shit gear, man. Like, he's got like two really good daggers that were really awesome, like 2 expansions ago, and that's
so he's basically still wearing Cataclysm PvP gear, is what you're saying.
Well, the gear that he wears in the shows is actually, I think it's crafted. It's crafted.
It's like the crafted Cataclysm PvP gear.
Exactly.
And Fangs of the Father or something.
Yes, that's what it was. Yep. Woo. Yep. So
yeah.
So it's the different posts. It's doing a pretty good job of keeping me pretty much tied into it, and not necessarily like what's interesting is that I've seen some complaints that are like, oh, they've turned it into a social game. I just log in, I do this, and I leave. And it's like, well, there's different ways that you can set things up. Like if I have a lumber mill, I would have to go and explore and find trees to mark, right? But there are other things, like I have it pretty much set up, I think, where I almost don't have to leave except for iron scraps, and that's it. So I could go to the mine, get a bunch of stuff. I could go to I could go fish, and I could go get a bunch of herbs. And the trade post would pretty much take pretty much any of those things and turn them into resources. Yeah. And of course I have my blacksmith, and I'm building my auctioneer, and I have access to my bank and my guild bank. So like I'm setting it up so that character doesn't have to leave. But I probably won't do that for the next character. The next character I'll probably be like, let's just make something that allows me to kind of get out and kind of explore and do things in the world.
Yeah, I think it's like that was sort of one of the goals for the garrison, was to have it be something that if you really want to set it up that way, you can have it be something that you like only ever do stuff inside your garrison. Like that's how I am. Like I've got the trading post and working on the auctioneer so that I never have to go anywhere for the auctioneer. I've got the storehouse with the banker and the guild bank, and I'm getting close to being able to I actually don't remember what achievement I need for the level 3 of that, but then I'll have the transmog NPC too, so and void storage, so like by the time I'm done, I will literally have no reason to ever go anywhere else, and I'm totally cool with that. Like I do not mind at all not having a whole bunch of other players running around on their motorcycles going all the time.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
Oh God.
Yeah, like so a lot of the time that I'm in game, I'm not really actually playing. I just have I have WoW open and I'm doing other stuff. Every once in a while I'll tab in and look at something. Like right now I'll tab in and look at my missions or something, or I just have it running the entire time. And during mists in the shrine, I started to go a little bit crazy every time I had a character that was in the shrine, because of that one dude who did the like spinning crane kick every single time somebody like walked in. So I would have WoW running in the background, and I just hear this just constantly, and I'm like, and I want to have sound on in the background in case like somebody whispers me, or like if I'm a lot of times I would be like queued for a battleground or something. Yeah, and I'm like waiting for that queue to pop. I want to be able to hear the queue pop and stuff. And yeah,
it's not happening.
Yeah.
But
yeah, like I'm totally fine with just having just me in my garrison standing around and no sound happens that I don't make.
Yeah, right. Just the random stomping of that big ass tree guy that I apparently inherited or adopted.
Oh, I don't even have him. I did that comes from if you decide to do the lumber mill in Gorgrond, you get him. Otherwise, you get like this ghost that just wanders around and is a ghost.
Oh, interesting. Yeah, I know this, but I just have like random people just showing up. I'm like, who invited you? It's like, oh, that's that quest text I didn't read. Damn it. Now I have this giant tree that I'm just sitting here chilling. All of a sudden, poof, poof, screen shake. It's like, damn. So one thing actually that came up that was super annoying was I had this goal, and I don't think I mentioned this a couple weeks ago, or maybe I did actually. I was like, yeah, I want to craft my own gear, right? And I did not realize what crafted unique equip 3 warlords crafted or something.
Oh yeah.
So you could only wear 3 pieces of crafted warlords gear.
So did you craft like a full set somehow?
I mean, dude, if I had enough true iron or whatever to do that, or true steel, then that would be amazing. But no, I was getting really close to my helm. I actually made a helm, and then I tried to sell it. No one bought it, of course. And then when I was getting close to finishing, I was like, I noticed it, and I was like, dude, like, oh, like I understand the purpose of it, and I'm sure it's one of those things that's probably gonna get lifted as people start getting geared, because it makes no sense to have after the first tier, right? But damn it, that pissed me off. I was like, I'm gonna make my own gear. I'm gonna walk around and be like, yeah, look, made by Fony. What's up?
Yeah.
And it's like, nope.
Well, like the thing with the crafted gear, is that like, and we were talking about this in the AMA today too, is that there's probably going to be like more upgrades like once the next tier of rating comes out. So they'll probably keep the crafted restriction, because like the point of that is more. Not so much that like, oh, we have to keep this restriction in here so that people aren't like
just buying all of their BOE epics.
Yeah, it's more like that restriction is there so that they can have the crafted gear actually be like pretty good. Which I guess thinking about it, that is actually so that people don't end up being like, well, my best in slot set is from the auction house. Sort of thing.
Yeah,
like
and that's the thing. Like, I get that is totally the thing, and honestly, I can't think of a better way of doing it without creating some crazy mechanic or something that's like, if you can only wear gear that says made by your name, then you could wear a full set of that, but that's it. But like, I know that your name part is like flavor text. Like, that's not like you're gonna attach that to a check if this, type thing.
Yeah.
But still, it's like, I'm worried that the second I equip this helm, I'm gonna be like, oh yeah, I'll step into this raid just to kind of fill for somebody, whatever, and go and just be really bad, get carried, and then get an amazing helmet out of it. And I'm like, no, damn it.
Yeah.
If anything, the crafted, the true steel armor set actually looks good. So
yeah,
you can at least use it for some very, very expensive transmog. But as I'm leveling up my blacksmith follower. It's like the only one that I didn't have. I went and got her. She's like level 91. I was like, oh God. So I'm like power leveling her right now. But when she's 100, then I believe that every work order is 2 instead of 1. So once you start getting these things for like coming in, then you're gonna be able to build these things fairly quickly.
Yeah, I don't actually know if the follower levels have an influence on the buildings.
Don't tell me that, dude.
I don't think that they do.
Oh man, but the internet said.
The internet says lots of things. The internet says that the level 3 salvage yard is worse, and it isn't.
Oh yeah, because you're building one right now. Actually, while we were there,
I am. Yeah.
What's the purpose of the third level for that one?
So it's actually kind of interesting. So when you get to a level 3 salvage yard, there's a lot more stuff that you can get out of the crates, and so people naturally sort of thought, there's more things on the list now, and I don't want some of those new things, so I shouldn't upgrade so that I have this smaller list for it to pull from. Which isn't actually how it works. Yeah. It's like, okay, there's still this old list that it will always pull from that list, and then there's this new list that it might also pull from that one too, so you have like two chances at things. Like it doesn't diminish your chance to get into the other stuff.
Yeah.
As a result of it.
That makes sense.
But yeah, it's funny the sort of like it's just interesting to me, like especially now that I'm like on the other side of things and I can be like, hey, people are saying this. Ian has a costus. What's going on with this? And he can just immediately be like, oh, no, that's not actually how this works entirely at all. And I'm like, that's interesting that that's how that works, and that's not what people thought it was. So
fist bump, just, and then you leave the office, right?
Well, it's just like I'm someone who's super interested in just sort of like I find it fascinating the sort of conclusions that people draw kind of naturally about how things work based on what limited knowledge that they have. Mm-hmm. And so it's just something I find interesting when it's like, oh, this person came to this conclusion. Why did they come to that conclusion? Let's figure out why they came to that conclusion, because they were missing this bit of information. That's the sort of thing that I like to like figure out. Like, what did they not know that led to this? Sort of
it's like, what is the missing piece? It's like jumping to conclusions with limited information on the subject matter at hand.
Yeah. Well, and it's not even necessarily their fault, right? Like, it's not. I wouldn't expect someone to be like, I concluded that the level 3 salvage yard is better because I just decided that it was better. Like, no, if you don't have that information available, then there's no reason for you to draw those conclusions. Yeah. It's just really interesting to me as like a social thing almost in terms of like how do people respond to systems versus how are they designed to be created?
The thing is, like, when you create these tooltips that are only like, a tweet and a half long, like for their description, you only have like a handful of people that's going to run through, and it's like, yeah, that makes sense. But you guys already know what it does. So it's like when you go through and you read it and you proof it, it's like, well, let me try to look at this from the perspective of someone that doesn't know what it does. Well, you can't because you already know what it does. And so you throw it out there. So you rely on the feedback from like beta. And you know what? If people in beta are reading Wowhead or something, they already know what it does, and they read that text, they're not going to have any problems with it either. But then it gets to the masses, and it becomes a problem.
Yeah, and that's actually like a big part of my job is just sort of like, since I'm not the designer that's been working on this particular feature for several months, it's part of my job to be somebody who's experiencing it for the first time when it's mostly finished, and I get confused about this thing, and if I get confused about this thing as someone who's mostly sensible, then there's a high possibility that other people get confused about this thing. So it's sort of like an early kind of like litmus test sort of thing. Yeah, like does this make sense? Like, there's been a couple times I've been talking to like class designers about how certain talent tiers work. And I'll be like, this talent tier feels a little bit weird to me. And they'll be like, why is that? And I'll be like, well, obviously, this talent is for this situation. This talent is for this situation. This talent is for this situation. And they're like, no, that's not how that works at all. Why would you even think that? I'm like, well, because these just like this one says AoE, this one says single target, this one says survivability or something. So obviously AoE single target survivability. And they're like, oh, we hadn't even really considered that was exactly what that said, because like we've been designing this for so long.
Yeah.
To us, this particular talent has always been the single target talent, and it didn't occur to us that since it has splash damage, that means people are going to take it as AoE. And that sounds like that sounds like I'm being super mean to the class designers when I say that, because everybody's going to go, well, obviously that's what that means. But when you've been working on something for super long and the whole time
to it.
Yeah, the whole time you know what this is. You know what you're trying to do the entire time. Like, it's hard to step away from that sometimes and go, okay, what's someone who's experiencing this from the outside that doesn't know every thought I've ever had about this thing going to actually experience it as? And it's just hugely fascinating to me.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yep.
That is very interesting stuff.
So, Raids opened this week, and the PvP season started. That's cool.
Yeah, they both did that.
They did.
I
assume that you're already like at least 2K rated.
Oh god, no, not even.
Fully conquest geared, despite that being impossible.
I've actually, the only thing I've done so far, it's funny, since hitting 100, I've not even done a battleground. I've actually just been doing Ashran. Like, and just general, like, world PvP, just kind of, like, trolling around, and then, oh, hey, there's a dude. Especially if they're humans, because they're on my list right now.
Yeah, that's the thing. Like, I've been sort of the same way, because every time I'm like, I should do some PvP now, I'm like, oh, I should work on my Manslayer achievement. I need to get started on that. I need to get, I'm at 115 out of 500, so if you're a human, I would like to punch you.
Many times. I'll just hang out by the GY, just keep on coming up.
Yeah. Yeah, like I've been sort of the same way. Like I've done a couple of battlegrounds. I haven't done a skirmish yet, and like I'm like now talking. I'm like, how have I not done this yet? But like I've just been so busy with everything else in the game that like it hasn't even occurred to me. Like, oh, I should do some skirmishes. Like I'm almost kind of afraid to do skirmishes because I feel like I'm just gonna get dominated now at this point, which I know is totally wrong because there's probably 1,000 other people who are in the exact same boat as me, and also queuing for skirmishes.
Oh yeah. Yeah, I should do skirmishes at least. And my other problem too is like, if I do battleground, because I always run prospect, right? And I'll run gladiator too, which is basically it's basically like every prot warrior pretty much has like arms as their secondary, right? It's like I'll switch to arms if I have to do some damage, whatever. And gladiator spec kind of gives you that, or stance gives you that option to keep your gear on. And still do a fair amount of damage. The thing is, I'm still not quite in the groove of getting it going. Like I feel like I'm a little rage starved with that character. Whereas like with my prospect, it's like I have all the rage in the world and I have a ton of health. So if I need to sit there and take a beating to get more rage, I will. But there's not a lot of room for prot builds in a lot of things. It's like you're always going to be pigeonholed into into a very specific and very niche group of or area. So that's why I have. That's one of the reasons why I have it. So it's more of a challenge, of course, going out and fighting a rogue. I had this epic fight with a rogue and freaking Frostridge. This fucking guy, he comes out, he tries to gank me, and then I guess he was like, "Oh shit, prot." So he kind of like eased up a little bit, and he backed up a little bit, disappeared. I started stomping around, trying to find him. And then I got up to kind of take off, and he sapped me. And I'm like, oh, okay, here we go. And so I sat through the sap, because you can rage out the sap. I was like, I'm going to sit through the sap, see what happens. And then he opens up, and then we start really going at it. And it was being prot and playing against like a high DPS class is very, very challenging, because it's like he's trying to burn down a boss, essentially. And this fight we were at the very top of the tower. It went so far as to I got him down super low, and then he jumped off of like this bridge or this edge or something like that, and opened up his engineer wings and started gliding away. And I'm like, this dude, he must think I don't have one of these. And so and it ended up being a fight in the air. And so we started like not fighting in the air, but it was like a chase. So we like glided all the way down to these ogres, and then we started fighting again. And honestly, he ended up winning the fight overall. He kept disappearing and like regenning. I kind of ended up dying. But still, it's like that being prot in PvP. You're a flag carrier, or you're hanging out at a node, and doing it in arenas. Like, who am I going to arena with?
Yeah, it's like tank specs in arenas right now are interesting. They're in kind of this sort of experimental stage at the moment, where it's like they do a decent amount of damage, but it's not as much as DPS specs, but they also take a lot less damage. I can conceive of situations in which they're useful in like 5s. Right. Because like it can be kind of okay, like especially for a prot warrior with like Shockwave and Stormbolt and stuff like that.
Mm-hmm. Oh yeah.
I can see it being useful to say, so like actually aren't maybe Shockwave and Stormbolt in the same tier now. I don't remember.
Shockwave is with Dragon's Roar, which is something that I would take in some arenas. Obviously, if you get an all-flat arena, you're kind of like, okay, but anything with a ledge, boop, knock him off the ledge. Yeah,
but like I can see it possibly working out. I don't know if it actually works this way, but I can see it possibly working out where there's a comp that's like a long-term sort of like drain comp, where you say, okay, this prot warrior you can't kill him really. Like at the very least, he's a bad idea to try and DPS.
Yeah, of course.
And he's gonna like. I'm not talking about glad stance warrior either. I'm talking like defensive stance prot warrior. And I can see a situation where you don't really want to kill the warrior, and you can't really peel him super well because he's protection, so he has like a decent amount of mobility still.
And then like everything I do has a snare attached to it, pretty much.
Yeah. And he's stunning you, and he's slowing you, and he's just generally being a pain. Like, he's interrupting your healer. Like I can see I can conceive of a comp where you have the prot warrior just sort of being a pain in the ass the entire time and making it harder on you.
Right.
The question is just, is he actually making it harder on you than if he was an arms warrior?
Yeah, yeah, exactly. That's the thing. It's like, yeah, can I be a healer hugger the whole time? It's like,
Yeah.
sure, but can we just put on somebody who's actually going to like burn down the healer? Sure.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, that's my problem. Is that I'm too stubborn to put a two-hander on. I need my shield. But Gladiator spec is something I'm still kind of getting used to, and it does seem to do a fair amount of damage. Like, I mean, I'll bust out some numbers. I'm like, where'd that number come from? What the hell? And it's like, okay, I could probably get used to it. Once I start getting around to managing my rage and maybe changing a couple of things around in my spec, then I think it'll probably be something that I would end up using. And then I don't know how it compares to, and I don't think anybody really knows, honestly, how it compares to like arms in or any other spec in arena. It's like obviously, so other specs might do more damage, but if I could do almost as much damage and still have utility, like that's what I'm looking at. It's like that's what I want to do. Anyways, yeah. So that's what I'm looking at right now with the new PvP season.
Yeah, I'm excited for the PvP season. Like the thing about like the first PvP season of the expansion is always the one where all of the weird like balance issues come into play. Like hello Stampede from Mists of Pandaria, how are you doing? Like by the end of the expansion is where like PvP will end up being at its best for the expansion. Like even in Mists, which a lot of people really complained about the PvP in Mists, which is why there was a ton of PvP changes in Warlords. It was like super bursty and like they had to have like what was it, like 87% base resilience or something by the end of it, where like players were just taking so much less damage from everything else because of how crazy numbers got. Even in that case, like by the end of Mist, it was obviously like clearly the best PvP that Mist had by the end of it.
Yeah,
which means that the first PvP season is always just going to be kind of crazy. And like I totally get how that's super frustrating to people that are like, no, I want to be I'm going for rank 1 Glad, like I have to be the best. And it's frustrating to me that, I don't know, Frost Mages or something are just so broken, overpowered at the moment or something like that. Totally understandable.
Like shamans are underpowered or something.
Or, yeah. Like, totally understandable. Totally get it. But it's also kind of interesting to me just from I guess a similar perspective to what I was talking about earlier, where it's like, let's just see where the dominoes fall on this one. Let's see what ends up happening.
Yeah.
And especially, like, now that I'm on the community team, like, and paying such a close attention to feedback from all categories instead of like mostly rating where I was before. Like now I'm like actively watching PvP feedback and stuff too. And it's interesting how at the start of the season, you'll see these people who say, all right, guys, we've figured out what the best specs for the season are going to be. And it's going to be this, like, it's going to be Arms Warrior followed by, like Survival Hunter followed by blah blah blah, and like these other specs are going to be the absolute worst. And then by the end of the season, it's like just was completely and totally wrong. And it's partially because of balance changes that happen. Like you should always generally expect that there's going to be balance changes in some capacity as the PvP season goes on.
Yeah.
But part of it also is like people just start to figure stuff out.
Yeah.
Like,
and other people don't know how to counter it.
Yeah, exactly. Like, at the BlizzCon tournament, for opening weekend, there was a group with a Windwalker monk who was from I don't remember which team exactly he was on off the top of my head right now. It was either the Taiwanese or the Korean team. I think he was from the Korean team. I don't remember. Either way, there was a Windwalker monk in there, and everybody's just kind of been like, well, nobody plays like Venruki plays Windwalker sometimes when he feels like screwing around. Like nobody really plays a Windwalker. And he was playing it very differently to how most Windwalkers play. And the sort of stuff he was doing was just like, okay, this guy's figured out how to play Windwalker Monk. And they were like dominating people. Like even the matches they lost were super close. They didn't end up winning the tournament because people eventually figured out how to counter what he was doing.
Yeah.
But it was just interesting how the meta had shifted in different ways in different like regions even.
Mm-hmm.
And people had to sort of adjust to what this Windwalker was doing. It was just really cool to me, and that's the sort of thing that constantly happens in a PvP season. Even is like by the end of the season, people figure out how to play a class differently. Like Mistweavers suddenly become really good because people have figured out how to work with a Mistweaver and how to make use of everything that a Mistweaver can do. Or like at the start of the last PvP season, season 15, at the start of that one, like Warlock Mage Druid was like, or excuse me, Warrior Mage Druid was like the best comp. Like, are you playing WMD? No, well, then you lose. But by the end of it, it was like WMD or LSD, which is Warlock Shaman Druid, but Resto Druid and Elemental Shaman. And by the end of it, if you were playing LSD2, you did pretty well, which was Warlock, usually Affliction Warlock, Restoration Shaman, and a Moonkin. Which at the start of the season, everybody said Moonkin were terrible.
They find that synergy.
Yeah, exactly. Like you figure out eventually, okay, the strength of the Moonkin isn't in the crazy damage they can put out. They do have good spread pressure, but the real strength of the Moonkin was in how much healing they could put out and how they could make sure that you survived for ages deep into dampening and then eventually win. Oh, this actually works amazingly now. The Moonkin is actually really, really good. And then you see people like what was the name of the Moonkin at I'm just completely blanking on the names of the players at BlizzCon now, but there was a Moonkin at BlizzCon that was just completely and totally flawless. He was actually a sub in for the Bleached Bones team, and he like completely total MVP of the entire series, won them the championship. Laser Chicken was his name. Really, really good Moonkin.
How did you forget this name?
I don't know how I'm sitting here thinking to myself, like, it's one of those Moonkin names. Was he like bouncing turkey? No. Yeah. Yeah, it's just really cool how the meta even shifts, even in like really short seasons like WoW has, compared to other games like something like TF2, where you'll see or Counter-Strike, where the meta will shift extremely slowly over long periods of time. Like, oh, shotguns are really good right now because everybody's doing this other thing. Shotguns are no good anymore. Now it's all about high-speed op. Oh, no, everybody's figured out how to deal with that. Now it's all about dualies or something. I don't know. I find that sort of thing really fascinating.
No, it is. It totally is. Of course, I'm just stuck in my own little world. Like everything revolves around my little prot.
Yeah.
I will jump in. I probably will jump in once I get things figured out. Like Glad Sped takes a long time to. I mean, it's not something you can't just jump into it and just be like, oh yeah, God, it's easy. Like, you have to pay attention. Like it's Prot Warrior with a little bit of arms, and it's something you just have to get used to. Yeah,
like figuring out how to like prioritize shield charge properly and stuff like that. Like it's easy to just mash buttons as they light up, but shield charge is one of those like wait until you've got enough stuff to like wait until shield slams off cooldown and like then mash devastate until you get sword and board and stuff like that.
Yeah,
if I remember correctly, because I haven't really messed with it in a while.
I have shield slam macroed with shield block for the extra like 30% or whatever.
Yeah.
And I've always had it that way. It's just like, yeah, just macro it, whatever, it's fine, right? I've never had an issue with like taking it off. I've never been like, oh, I better hit shield block now. Oh, well, never mind, I just use it. I've never had that problem. But with this build, it's like, okay, well now that key needs to only be shield charge, and I need to figure out another place to put shield block, and then only use it situationally. It's one of those things.
That's the worst when you're like, I've had these abilities macroed together forever. And I know it's not really ideal to have them all macro together, but I wanted to have that button be this, right? And then eventually you have to split them up, and you're like, crap. What do I even do with these now?
Where do I put these other abilities that I all had in one button?
Yeah, like on my Windwalker, for ages, I've had the Tiger macroed into Tiger Eye Brew. Schwen macroed into Tiger Eye Brew, and now I'm running Serenity as well. So I've got all of them macroed into Tiger Eye Brew because it's one of those things that sort of makes sense, because you're like, well, Tiger Eye Brew is my big damage like buff that I use from time to time. That's also the ideal time for me to be using my other damage buffs, so I should macro them all together. But then you start doing stuff and you're like, actually, I don't really want to use Serenity right now. I want to wait for the next time. But if I push this button, then I'm going to... Or like, you're like running a dungeon or something.
Let me open up my spell book.
Yeah.
Let me click on it.
you're like running a dungeon or something, and you're about to pull a boss. Like you're on the second trash pack before the boss, and I just look down and I see, oh crap, Serenity's available. I really don't want to accidentally blow Serenity on this trash pack, but I'm about to do this boss instead. So now I've got to split those up, and I have no idea where I'm going to put those buttons.
Yeah, exactly.
There's nothing that makes it's the on my G600. It's the button in the front, in the middle, like the G10 button, also known as numpad 2. But obviously I'm not using the numpad. It's the buttons on my mouse. That's where DPS buffs go. That's where those belong. I don't know what I'm gonna do with a tiger on like 9 or something. I don't even know what I'm gonna do with that.
You know, you should get one of those. They have those foot pedals, like rudder control.
Yeah, definitely.
To hit the brakes every time you want to activate, whatever, and then you give me a couple more buttons. I think that's how it works.
Yeah. Then my cat sits on one, and all of a sudden I pop every single cooldown.
Oh man, I have seriously considered that, because it's like I don't want to add any more buttons to my mouse. I really, really don't. I'm already using just like a shitload of modifiers, and it's like I don't want to learn another couple buttons. And it's like I was seriously considering getting not rudder control, but getting they have like what's called a rest switch that you can use for piano, right? And you can hook it up to your keyboard. It's basically whenever you hold down a key, when you hold down the rest switch and you hit a button, it holds the key for longer. Like pianos have them, right? The little foot pedals. And I was actually like really thinking about getting one of those, like a 3 set of them. I just have my buttons on there. It would have worked. It would have totally worked. But thankfully I did not go down that route.
Yeah. Yeah. So, I started raiding again too, which is cool.
Oh yeah, the raiding thing.
It's been a while. Yeah, it's actually really awesome. Like a ton of old guild members and stuff, old friends came back to the game for Warlords. So we're putting together. We're calling it the 401k Shuffleboard Club, which is our retirees raid. A whole bunch of people who retired from hardcore raiding, and now we're just sitting back playing shuffleboard, collecting our 401k,
doing raiding,
breaking our hips, etc.
Mm-hmm.
So that's really cool. I really just wanted an excuse to say 401k Shuffleboard Club.
That is a good one. That is good.
Yeah.
I've not done it. I got into that. I've gone into UBRS, and I've gone into the old instances. Started collecting up all of my so I told my buddies all like, hey man, you wanna do rag? I'm like, rag or rag with feet? Cause I just did a rag this morning. He's a rag with feet. I was like, cool, I'm there. Let's do it.
Nice.
So yeah, I'm just running around, just like getting, trying to collect some gear. I got a couple pieces of like heroic violence gear.
Nice.
Oh yes, just because like it's now is like such a great time to. Now that the raids are out, it may not be so much, but like still, it's like just you're so freaking powerful. Go and just run the old stuff and get some of that old gear that you. Because one day it might be gone. You might not ever be able to get it, or the only thing you'll be able to get is like an heirloom that looks like it. Yeah.
Right before Warlords came out, I went through on my monk, and I was just like, I'm just gonna clear every single old raid. And in 1 week, I went back through, and I was like, I'm gonna put every single thing on lockout. Everything that I possibly can is gonna be locked out. I went back through and did all that. It was pretty fun.
It is kind of cool.
Yeah, like it's especially as someone who like. I haven't done a ton of like running the old raids, mostly because a lot of them I was super burned out on at the time. Yeah. So I go to Firelands and I'm like, oh, Ragnaros, I don't want to see you again, Ragnaros.
Oh god.
But then you go in there, you just completely annihilate everything, and you're like, fucking Ragnaros.
I was running MC, and I did it out of order. Like, I haven't been an MC, obviously, in a long time.
Yeah.
And I did it way out of order. And while I'm doing it, I'm like, first off, it's like, wow, man, fucking Raiders must have been in good ass shape because this is like a run right here.
Oh my god!
Running from boss to boss, I'm like, Jesus Christ, it took forever. And then when I realized I went down the wrong lane, and I had to go all the way back to like actually do it in order. I was like, oh god, it took so long to clear.
Yeah. Have you done the like anniversary Molten Core yet?
No, I haven't.
Molten Core with 39 other people who also don't know what they're doing.
Oh Jesus!
Oh my god, it's so delicious. Like delicious is really the only word I can think of to describe it, because you start out and you're like walking around. There's lava spawns and they're spawning extra lava spawns, and like I used to run a ton of Molten Core pugs back in Classic. Like I have spent some time in Molten Core.
Wow.
Like I have spent entirely too much time in Molten Core to the point that it's so like locked into my memory that I still remember, like, no, you pull this guy and then that guy because this core hound's gonna pad up through here, and you don't want to accidentally pull the core hound, so you kill this guy first and then you wait because the core hound's gonna come up here, and you really don't want that in the middle of fighting this lava surger or whatever. So like I'm going through, and it's just so awesome. Like you start out and it's like super nostalgic. You're like, lava spawns, yeah, don't forget to kill the lava spawns. And everyone's like, loot the hounds, blah, loot the hounds, and people are like shouting. They're like, this is so nostalgic. This is just like everything was way back in the day.
No.
And then like 4 hours in, you're like, this is so bullshit. This is just like everything was way back in the day. Like that's the big win, I think, for the anniversary stuff. Like it's Terran Mill versus South Shore is the same way. Like you get in there and it's just a bunch of people zerging into each other nonstop, and you're like, why did anyone ever do this? Why was this fun? And like
rose tinted goggles, man.
Seriously, it's so awesome. Like it's such a great, because so many people constantly, like, people love to say World of Warcraft was best in Classic. They ruined it.
Week-long AVs, which I've actually said several times. It's like, oh, it's so cool to do that. It's like, well, I mean...
the concept, the thought of doing it is cool. But then once you're actually doing it, you're like, wow, this is actually terrible. This is not fun.
Because everybody's always, like, trying to win. Yeah. And it's like, bro, we're going to be here for another 97 hours. Can you just, like, not try so fucking hard right now?
Yeah. It's just hilarious to me because it's almost like the design team went like, oh, you want Classic servers? This is what those would be like. Enjoy. And it's like, no, this is the worst. It's just so, like, it really serves to illustrate how far the game has come. Yes,
everything.
Like, it's a sort of, like, you think back to it, you're like, oh yeah, I used to have the time of my life. It's just at Terran Mill versus South Shore, like constantly just fighting for no reason. We didn't need a reason. It was just fun. We were just having fun fighting each other constantly for hours, and then you get into the actual battleground, you're like, I can't believe I used to enjoy this.
Yeah, like just like, you know, when I was running through MC, and I also did BWL, and that was kind of cool because I had actually never done that.
Oh yeah.
So it was kind of neat to go through and do all that stuff and kind of see like what people. And then I got the head. I was like, oh, I got the head. What? And I went to Orgrimmar and I was like, ah, no one gave a shit.
Yeah, but he shouts like 400 times a day on my server. Nefarian has been slain.
Nefarian, over and over again. But like even like level design, like I remember as I was running around, because I had lots of time to think as I was running in between bosses in MC. I was remembering like when I was doing, I want to say I was doing some 25 mans in Wrath, I think. And it's basically like you walk in, there's a dragon, and you kill the dragon, and ta-da! Like you're done. Like it was like nothing to it. Like there was no trash or no crazy amount of trash. And like when you walk in, you do your business, and then you leave. And it was like such a stark contrast to like the way things were just 2 expansions before that, or 2, you know, major tier releases before that. It's crazy.
Yeah.
And then the whole 40-man thing. I can't imagine that. I cannot imagine that.
Yeah. Yeah. By the way, I have terrible news for you.
Well, what?
I just accidentally paused my recording for like 10 seconds.
Oh, you did?
Yeah.
It's okay. I can fill it in.
That's a problem you're gonna have to deal with.
Oh, thanks. I appreciate it. How do you accidentally pause a recording?
Okay, here's what happened.
Okay.
I looked over at my WoW screen, which is still open because I'm keeping track of my missions. I noticed that I was AFK, so I just subconsciously went, I should just press the spacebar to jump. And I actually still had Audacity,
like as the target window. Awesome,
as the
dude.
focus. Yeah,
that's pretty funny.
Yeah.
No
so
worries.
there you go.
No worries. I have the Skype feed, so I'll fill it in, and I'm gonna leave this whole part in here so people can hear you. That you.
Oh yeah.
That you
definitely.
spacebarred your way out of the podcast.
I did. It's like SWOTOR up in here. I'm tired of this bullshit. Spacebar. Yeah.
So
I feel like we should talk about something that isn't WoW for just a second. Maybe. Since we've already been talking about WoW for like an hour.
Well, I did a thing this week.
Did you do a thing?
Yeah, it's not really gaming related, but it's actually kind of a big deal. At least it wasn't a big deal until everyone made a big deal out of it.
Oh, you're talking about Go ahead.
I got Lasik.
Yeah.
I had one eye.
Stabbed in the eye with lasers.
It was the weirdest thing. I was just like, oh yeah, whatever. I didn't. So I don't know what part of me like does this, but whenever something big is gonna happen, I know it's coming. If I get the gist, I wing it, right? The same applies for major surgeries. I get the gist, and I know other people that have had it done, and they could see. So I was like, I'm not gonna look it up. I don't want to watch videos of people getting their eyes lasered and being blind for the rest of their lives, or whatever other complications that might have arisen when when all this stuff happened. No, I know it kind of works. I'm just gonna wing it. And then, as I'm getting the prescriptions filled, I get to get like special like eye drops and everything. The guy at Walgreens, like I guess, because I had to go look for like preservative-free eye drops, like tears or whatever.
I was gonna say, did you get LASIK at Walgreens? Because that's optimistic.
No, but like the guy who like the Walgreens, he's all like, first thing he says to me, he's like, "You know, that's not permanent, right?" It's like, well, yeah, of course. It's not like it's gonna give me super eyes. It's just basically putting me back to zero, and then they'll age from there.
Yeah, they're going to continue to do the same shit they've been doing for the past forever.
30 years, yeah. And it's like, all right. And then he's like, all right, well, good luck. And I'm like, oh, good luck. All right. And then I go.
Like that whole like Liam Neeson, like, good luck.
And then I noticed, I was like, wait a minute. Like everyone I talk to, it's like, oh man, you're doing that today? Oh, good luck. Like, and I'm like, whoa, hold on a second. Am I supposed to be fucking worried here? Like,
I'm getting LASIK, not a vasectomy.
yeah, right. It's like I should be okay. Everyone just calm down. You're starting to freak me out a little bit. But no, I went in and like they do the first thing, which is like an incision. He kind of bullshits you a little bit. Like they tell you that like you're gonna see some lights in your one eye, right? Like they put a patch over your other eye. They didn't cover my right eye very well, so I can still kind of see. And then the left eye is when I was getting done. And he's all like, okay, you look at the lights, stare at the lights. Okay, so what's gonna happen? You're gonna see the lights go out. That's perfectly normal. Blah blah blah. And the lights didn't actually go out. I could see from my right eye a plunger come down and like grab my eyeball, and that's why the lights went out, because the lights are very clearly still on, but there's a plunger on my eyeballs. I couldn't see it. But they make the incision. I didn't smell anything then. I guess the incision you wouldn't really smell anything, but the laser beam part happened, and my prescription was so super light that the beam comes down. It's like dun 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 dun. Dun, 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 dun. Here comes Gladys, the fucking laser beam, right? Come down to my eye, and then like it's like okay, and he's like, all right, so it's gonna take a moment, blah blah blah. It's like pew. He's like, all right, that's it. I'm like, what? All that for just the pew, and that was it. I guess like the worse your prescription is, like the longer that pew lasts, and mine was literally just pew, and that was it.
Yeah,
and then I was done.
I've thought about getting LASIK before.
You wear glasses?
Well, I wear contacts.
Oh.
Which is what makes me think that I could get LASIK. But, like, I have astigmatism, and I don't know if LASIK actually deals with that.
Yeah, they say they can.
Oh.
Well, I mean, not all of them, but the consultations are free.
Oh, well, that's cool. Yeah, I've thought about getting LASIK. But now that you've used the word incision in conjunction with eyes, nope.
No, so no, you don't feel it though. Like
nope.
They numb you. Like you can't feel anything.
Nope.
Nothing I say.
Not even a little bit. I just know I'm perfectly okay with contacts.
Honestly, it's probably worse than having contacts. I'm sorry. Contacts is probably worse than getting LASIK surgery.
Nope.
I'm sure there've been times when, cause like right now, like my left eye kind of itches a little bit, right? Like whenever I kind of, and the way I describe the annoyance that I'm experiencing is the same thing that people with contacts say whenever they leave their contacts in for too long. It's like kind of itchy, and you want to rub it, but you know it's only gonna make it worse. No, still nothing.
Nope. Listen, if I'm putting in my contact and there's something like a tuft of my hair gets caught in my contact, which happens about as often as you'd think with my hair.
Yeah, of course.
It's unfortunately regular. I can just take my contact off and I'll be like, oh, that's better. No problem. We're done now. Nope. Just nope. I don't do well with things like incisions and needles.
Oh man, I ruined it. It's so they'll give you a Valium. They gave me a Valium.
I don't do well with pills either.
What the fuck?
So okay,
all right. Well, that's what I did this week.
Against my better judgment, let me explain this.
Okay, go ahead.
I have a mild form of what's called hemophobia.
You afraid of blood?
I'm afraid of things. I'm afraid of blood. Well, my own blood. I have this unnatural fear of bleeding / things in my bloodstream. Like it's this sort of phobia where, and I've read about it a ton, and I've always been like, this is stupid. Why would I even think this? But then as soon as anything sort of starts to trigger it, I'm just like, I just can't.
I can actually see you doing that.
I can't. I just can't.
Collapsing on yourself.
It's a phobia that comes from having an unnatural sort of connection between the blood in your system and being alive. So like, and it's so bizarre because like if I'm actually bleeding, I'm just like, oh god damn it, I'm bleeding. But if I think about something that will cause me to start bleeding, I'm like, I'm going to die. Like, I cut my thumb the other day, and actually, this is an amazing story. I'm actually really proud of this. So I cut my thumb on my toothbrush the other day.
How did you do that?
I don't know.
There's gotta be a way that was done. I must know.
I was like, so I have an electric toothbrush. And I was changing the like head on it.
Okay.
And I like went to brush my teeth and I'm like, my thumb feels kind of weird. It kind of has that my skin has separated feeling to it. And I look at my thumb and it's just bleeding all over the place and I'm like, what the fuck did I do? How have I accomplished
wait,
this?
You don't know how you've done it?
I don't. No idea.
Oh my god. So now every time you go to brush your teeth, you're going to be scared.
Yeah, exactly. I'm like, I'm worried that whatever I did before, I'm gonna do again to cut myself.
Internet, one day, something terrible's gonna happen to Laura, and you're gonna know what it is. You're gonna know it
was a
electric toothbrushes to blame.
Community manager missing for several days. Police suspect toothbrush involved.
Well, it's always the husband or the toothbrush. Oh man.
So yeah.
All right.
I'm just at this point. I hurt myself constantly for. I've been good for a while. When I first moved out here, I like managed to cut both my thumb and my first finger really badly on a pizza cutter, because I'm good at things.
How do you even with a, okay, I can't even ask that question.
Yeah. No, it was
okay. Yeah.
It was a sharp pizza cutter, and I did a really stupid thing. It had like a
sharp pizza cutter.
It's a fucking sharp pizza cutter. But more importantly, like it had this. It was right after I'd moved out here, so all of my stuff was like packed up, and I was unpacking, and the pizza cutter had like this like cover on it, like a plastic like nylon sort of cover on it, and I couldn't get it off. So I like grabbed a hold of it and I like yanked on it, and it came loose, but no, it did. Yeah, I cut myself.
It's a pizza cutter with like a +3 sharpening stone.
Yeah. And then like a week later, I like fell off of my bike because I ran it into a curb like an idiot. And I've been okay for a while. I haven't injured myself, and now I cut myself on a toothbrush. It's literally like I could and have like juggled knives around. No problem whatsoever. Completely,
that's
totally
right. You
okay.
used to play with your switchblade all the time.
Yeah, well, butterfly knife, but yeah.
Butterfly, yeah.
Yeah, and I would do
time.
crazy shit like, like I would throw it up and it would spin 3 times in the air and I would catch it open and just be like, yeah, no problem, whatever. And then I cut myself on a toothbrush of all things.
Wow, man, I did not know this about you. That's crazy.
I'm apparently just inept. Like, terminally inept. So speaking of things,
what's your transition from that?
Okay, so speaking of terminally inept, which is kind of like terminal, which is kind of like the name of a song by Pendulum, which is a band I was introduced to through Team Fortress 2, which is a game made by Valve, who also have Steam. Steam is streaming now.
Holy shit! Holy shit! What? Wow.
I'm kind of proud of that one.
Do we even need to do the rest of the show? Because that was like...
It was like the 6 degrees of Kevin Gay Ben.
I need a cigarette after that one.
So yeah, Steam now has streaming.
It does.
Which literally no one saw coming. Like... Literally, I did not see coming, and of the 100% sample size of that, no one saw coming.
Yeah. So, I would say that, quote, no one saw it coming, but nobody's surprised. Seeing how well they were able to implement in-home streaming, like in-home streaming is so good.
Yeah.
Seeing how well they did that. I'm not surprised that they've gone and they've done this. They're taking on that crowd. Like that is
for sure.
I mean that is fucking interesting because already Steam has they already have their own crazy deep community. Not just the forums, obviously. There's like if you go to the hub for any game, especially if it supports mods. There's like a whole modding section. There's like a Feedly style news, like activity feed. There's like so many different things, like an entire community and ecosystem that's created for each individual game. And it's just like, it's not surprising that one of those tabs now is going to be streamers for this game.
Yeah. And like everybody has Steam. Like, I think the last of the I don't want this crap running on my computer all the time people have died at this point or something because that argument was so long ago. Like and they've done so many improvements to the actual Steam client over the years that like everybody at least has it installed if they don't necessarily have it running all the time. They have access to Steam because every once in a while, there's a sale, and you're like, oh my god, I can get 10 copies of Call of Duty 3 for $4. Oh my god, I need this.
Yep. One day I'll give this away to somebody for Christmas.
Steam does a great line in getting people to buy stuff that they would not have ever bought otherwise, and also will never play.
Yep.
Like, you look at I go through my Steam list, and the number of games I've literally never launched, let alone like I've never installed, let alone launched. Like, why did I spend money on this? Why there's like hundreds of dollars of
Sleeping
things that
Dogs, Saints Row the Third.
Yeah. I don't actually have Steam running at the moment, or else I would open up. Maybe I can launch it real quick.
Yeah,
because that's an interesting discussion all on its own.
So System Shock 2, like that was a game I was like, oh man, I would totally love to play that again. And it's like, oh well, I never installed it.
Yeah, I bought like the whole like they had a deal on the whole like Fallout series a while back. So I was like, oh, Fallout, I love Fallout. So I bought like that whole thing, and I was like, yes, I'm gonna play through all the Fallouts. I can't wait to play through all the. I've never launched Fallout.
No, exactly. I had Fallout New Vegas. I never launched it.
Let's see what Amnesia is top on my list, and that one I'm probably never going to actually launch.
Oh, that's a good one.
I do not do well with horror games, dude. I just don't.
Really?
Like,
I'm not saying I do.
I get like if I promise if I ever actually play Amnesia, I will be either recording or streaming the entire thing, because that's the only way I would ever actually do it. Is if someone could get some enjoyment out of me literally shitting myself the entire time.
I play the first 30 minutes as Darnell. And let me tell you, like, if you could dig those up somewhere and like watch them, like those.
I think I saw that.
It was really hard. Like I had to become Darnell for these pieces because it was like the shit was so scary. I was like falling out of characters. I was like,
yeah.
It's like, oh, it was a cobweb.
So I have Amnesia, and Yet It Moves.
Okay.
Which I don't know why I own that. I watched you do like an indie for breakfast on it ages ago.
It's an interesting game that you'll play for like I have 7 hours, but you may play it for less.
Yeah. I have Awesome Knots,
that is
which
a cool
I've
game.
played 7 minutes of.
Oh.
Yeah,
cool
and
game.
I feel bad about it because everybody loves Awesome Knots, and I've played like the tutorial, and if I ever play it again, I'm gonna need to play the tutorial again. Let's see what else is on here. Binding of Isaac. I don't know how I've never played Binding of Isaac.
How have you never played that?
I don't know. Let's see. I have like Blackwell Convergence, Blackwell Deception, the Blackwell Legacy, and Blackwell Unbound, which is this bunch of like point and click adventure games. Mm-hmm. And I was like, I love point and click adventure games. I should buy this whole thing for $30, and then never played. Yeah, this is a bunch of crap in here that I should have played at some point because I purchased, but never. Dungeon Defenders, never played it.
Wait, hold on. I have like 15 games that starts with the word dungeon. Hold on a second.
Yeah.
Which one was Dungeon Defenders? Oh, you've ever played that one, huh? That's kind of interesting, actually. Really.
Yeah. I'm sure it's unfortunate to me that I have more time spent on Gone Home than half of the games.
Gone Home is a cool game, though.
Gone Home is barely a game.
It's not. Yeah, it's a story. You know what? There's another one.
And I played 47 minutes of it. That's how long it took me to go.
That's how long it takes to beat the game. Yeah. What's the other one that you have a narrator right when you start off? And he's all like, so-and-so just sits there every day, and he hits one button on his keyboard, and blah, blah, blah. That one day, the command stopped coming down the line, blah, blah, blah. You haven't played this one? You've not played it. You would know immediately.
I haven't played it, no.
Oh, that's a good one.
With the narrator, it made me sort of think of Bastion, but...
No, it's a first-person game. It's kind of like Gone Home, but, oh, man, I have to find it. Something... Oh man, I hate this. I'm going through the list now, and it's like this is gonna take forever.
With Payday 2, which I've never played.
Which one?
Payday 2.
Okay.
Never played.
Fair.
Yeah, there's a bunch of crap in here that I should have played at some point. Like I have the Stanley Parable, which I was like, I really want to play the Stanley Parable. Yes, that's
what I was actually talking about.
Oh, is it? Cool. Yeah. All right. Well, then I'll have to remember to play that.
Yeah, that's one that you should play because it is a very interesting implementation of story ish. It's really hard to describe without giving anything away, but you should play it.
Terraria, never played.
That's weird. That's weird.
I've played a bit of, what was the space version of it?
Oh, I forget, but yes, I have that one too. And I actually played more of that one than a Terraria, and I can't remember the name.
Oh.
The Terraria space game.
Yeah, the Terraria space game. I played a little bit of that.
Starbound,
yeah. I played a little bit. Oh, yeah, there's that. I played 15 minutes of Starbound.
I've actually played 32 hours of that. And you know what? I don't even think I have Terraria in my list. Oh, yeah, I do have Terraria. Area is 82 minutes. Yep. So quite a big difference.
Yeah. I do, however, I think that at some point my like time played got reset or something, because there are definitely games in here that I know I've played a ton of through Steam. Like it says I've played 29 hours of Team Fortress 2. There's no way I've only played 29 hours of Team Fortress 2. I remember at some point like noting, because it has like the in-game like statistics and stuff too. Yeah. It's like, this is how much you spent on this individual. I remember noting at some point that I had like 500 hours on the engineer alone.
Wow. Holy crap.
I used to play a lot of Team Fortress 2.
You want to hear something sad? Trials Evolution Gold Edition, just for PC. 120 hours. Trials Fusion, 12.
Yeah. That is a sad thing.
It hurts my feelings.
It does. Like, I got Trials Fusion for 360 a while back. Because I was like, I really want to play Trials. I should get the new Trials game. I really want to play new Trials, and I feel like spending money. I should get the new Trials game. And
instead of playing the old one.
Yeah, exactly. And I like started playing it. I was like, I'm just gonna reinstall Trials Evolution. Like,
yep.
What have you done, Red Lynx? So anyway, Steam has streaming now.
Yes, it does. I've actually not used it once, and I really want to. You know what? The first time I use it is when Don't Starve multiplayer actually functions.
Yeah.
Right now it's a little buggy, like it's kind of hit and miss depending on what day you're playing and what time of day you're playing. But I played it at PAX, and it was a lot of fun, even in the 30 minutes I got to play it at PAX. And so I cannot wait to get in there and play it. And you have Don't Starve, right?
Yeah, I've played 5 minutes of it.
Oh, okay.
But I have Don't Starve.
Well, you actually played 5 minutes more than Chisel.
Yeah, well, my problem with Don't Starve is it's a game that I played 11 minutes of Don't Starve.
Oh, that's quite a few.
It's a game that I really, really, really enjoy, but like I used to watch your Don't Starve videos all the time.
Oh, yeah.
So like I started playing Don't Starve, and I was like, I don't have any of the stuff that Mike B has. I'm not gonna watch his videos.
I'm grind this shit out. I've already earned it.
Yeah.
By proxy.
Yeah, exactly. It's weird because I love those sorts of like randomly procedurally generated, like Minecraft is a game that if I had through Steam, I've probably spent over 200 hours on Minecraft, and 100 of those hours are just exploring, like just running around and looking at stuff.
Yeah, just building stupid shit that you just like abandon immediately, or just walking in a direction.
Yeah, like I chopped down a tree so that I can make a bridge to the other side of a hill, and I'm like, I'm on the other side of this hill. Wonder what's past it, and I just keep wandering off into nowhere.
I cannot wait. Let me tell you, I cannot wait for my kid to start playing Minecraft, so I'll have a legit excuse to take over the TV downstairs.
Yeah,
like it'll be like, oh, sorry, babe, can't watch. Are
you gonna get him to like start making the like dad and son Minecraft videos that are stupid popular?
Are they super popular?
Every Minecraft video is apparently stupid popular.
Oh god.
The number of people that I have watched go from being basically nothing into YouTube sensation because of Minecraft.
Because of Minecraft, I know.
Yeah. It's crazy.
Yeah. I don't think that's gonna happen. Unless, I mean, you know what? If the kid's funny, then yeah, I might capture it. But I have to be objective because you know what? Like half the shit he says is funny to me, but to everyone else, it's like, okay, your kid made a sound. That's part of being a dad.
He just said doo doo. That's not funny. You just think it's funny because it's your kid.
Hey man, he spelled the word we and TOO2 and said it. He spelled it out like with like refrigerator letter magnets and said it, which is a huge thing. And someone was all like, well, did he mean the number 2 or TOO2? And I'm like, great. Now I'm like teaching my kid how to spell it incorrectly. The second word he knows how to spell, I'm teaching him the wrong way of doing it. But yeah.
Eventually one day I will have kids, and my hope is that, and it's a stupid hope, it's never going to happen. My hope is that I will not be one of those parents. It's like, everything my kid does is gold because they're my kid. Oh, they just broke all of your stuff. Isn't it adorable?
Oh, there's a line there, dude. There's totally a line. Like, you could,
I know.
Yeah. You could definitely be like, oh yeah, everything he does. Like when he like spelled the word we and said we, and they spelled the word two, said two. I was like welling. I was like, my kid knows how to spell. Oh, that's amazing. Hold it together. But there's a line, right? Like, it's like, okay, no one else is gonna give a shit about that.
Yeah.
Like the breaking shit. Yeah, obviously that's like terrible parenting. But yeah, it's interesting because everything your kid does, you think is cool because you basically watch your kid go from a complete idiot to like starting to come around. And like, people like this in real life where you're like, wow, man, he finally gets it. Like, and you're really impressed with that, right? Some random dude who's all of a sudden is like, wow, man, he really gets it.
I've been working on getting him to walk directly forward instead of off to the side for months. This is a huge accomplishment. Somebody else is just like, why are you so happy? He walked into a thing.
You have to hold everybody to a different standard.
Yeah. It's like, so one of my coworkers, also a good friend of mine now, has a young child, who's like 4 or 5, something like that. And like they're great parents. Like, they do really well. Their kid is, for the most part, well behaved. Like, for a 4-year-old, he's well behaved. And it was funny. I was talking to him a while ago because they came over to my place, and I was talking to him at work later, and he was like, you never really understand just how ill-behaved your child can be sometimes until you take him to someone else's place, and all of a sudden none of the things that he's about to potentially break are yours.
Yeah.
It's like when you're at home, you're like, oh, he knocked over the thing. It's probably okay, whatever.
Well, at home, you don't have anything out because you know that he's going to break it. Yeah.
Yeah.
You take him somewhere, it's
within bashing distance.
Look at all these things that are clearly put here for me to break.
Yeah.
Oh, man.
Oh, this Wii U controller that's just hanging out here on the side of this sofa precariously because that's a convenient location for it for me. That's on the floor and stepped on in 3 seconds.
It's like worse than a cat. Like,
yeah,
cats will take full advantage of anything that's like on the edge of anything.
My cat is currently being kind enough to sit on the other arm of the couch. So.
Wait, you mean she doesn't lay like on your chest and like scratch your throat because she loves you?
She tries to sometimes, and then I throw her. I'm gonna be a great parent.
Oh man. Yep.
So yeah,
kids and cats.
All of this out of Steam having streaming.
I know. Yeah. Wow. Well, the first night they went live with streaming, people started streaming porn. That was kind of awesome.
Yeah.
Because you can obviously very easily hook in an assortment of programs.
Yeah.
And I did that.
I'm playing Windows Media Player through Steam.
Yes, exactly. Yeah, VLC like links right up, and VLC will play anything.
Yeah.
So yeah, that was a bit of an issue, I think.
Yeah, I'm interested to see where they go with it. I think it's interesting, like looking back when we were talking a while ago, like someone's selling Twitch, or someone's buying Twitch. Who's gonna buy Twitch? And like we were surprised that it was Amazon, but like in that whole discussion, we never once thought for a second that it could have been Valve, because we were like it just didn't even occur to me that Valve would do streaming.
Yeah, right.
Like,
yeah, it's true.
When you think of all the people that are going to do streaming, for whatever reason, Valve just never came up to me. And I'm sure there were tons of people out there who was like, Valve should totally do it. But like, it just never even occurred to me.
Yeah, if anything, you would think that they would partner with somebody, like partner with Twitch.
Yeah, exactly. Like Valve,
especially given there are 2
Twitch.
people on their support staff.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. So it's really interesting, and I hope that they do well because as we've talked about at length before in this podcast, I think the biggest thing that the streaming industry needs right now is competition.
Yep.
Because there needs to be, like, Twitch, full credit, Twitch does a good job at trying to continue to innovate despite being the clear market leader at the moment. Like, if you want to stream, yeah, there's things like Hitbox, there's things like Azubu, but if you want the biggest audience, you should probably be on Twitch.
Yeah.
And, like, if you're not on Twitch, it's probably because you were paid not to be on Twitch. Like, that's sort of how the industry works at the moment.
It's very true.
I think they do a pretty good job, despite being in that sort of position. They do a pretty good job of continuing to add new extra features and stuff. And, like, not just sitting on... They're not just sitting around doing nothing, basically. Sometimes the new things that they do are kind of dumb, like 30-minute blocked-out audio on your VODs because someone hummed, I don't know...
they hummed the Lord of the Rings theme. And that actually happened with Shizzle.
Yeah, exactly. But they do some stuff. They really need to have competition that's actually, like, doing the same, like, caliber of stuff at the same time, so that when they roll out something like, I don't know, for example, muting 30 minutes of your VOD because someone hummed the Lord of the Rings theme, people immediately go, what the shit, we're going over to Steam.
Yeah, because right now it's like, it's just what the shit. And that's the end of it. Like, there's no, exactly. I'm going somewhere else.
You've now screwed me over, Twitch, not I'm going to someone else, Twitch.
Yep.
And like YouTube was looking promising for a while with their streaming, and that seems to have just stagnated entirely. So,
right?
Like, maybe and I it's just... Say,
go ahead. Maybe just what?
I was going to say, maybe it's just because they haven't done anything, like, new lately, so it doesn't show up in the news, so people don't think of it. But, like, I don't even know if I have streaming enabled on either of my YouTube channels. And I don't even know how I would do that. Like, how would I even stream? I just don't know. So I feel like that's kind of an abandoned idea almost.
I think the advantages of Steam is, and I could be wrong here, but I believe that they support HTML5.
Yeah, they do. They do have HTML5. I have a developer friend who was freaking out about that.
Yeah, because that's a pretty huge deal.
It's massive.
Because of just like HTML5 is just, Flash isn't, I love Adobe, right? I mean, I've been an Adobe fanboy for like almost 2 decades now. Yeah. But they're like, nah, fuck Flash. Like, Flash came out and they got widespread, and I don't even think they support it anymore. I don't think they do anything with Flash. Flash needs to just die, and HTML5 just needs to happen and become the standard, so we can start hitting it.
Like, even even Adobe at this point is like, you guys should really stop using Flash. Like, they don't support the Flash player on Android anymore.
Yeah.
They aren't even pursuing it on iOS. It's just something that they went, no, we're not doing this. Like, every once in a while they come out with updates to it just to patch security vulnerabilities, but I think that's about it.
Yeah. Yeah. Right.
As I recall, I could be making this up, but just thinking off the top of my head, I'm pretty sure a while back they announced something like, we're going to completely abandon Flash by like end of like 2016 or 2017 or something like that. I could be completely making that up, so don't take my word for it. Go and Google search it, do whatever. But I remember hearing things along those lines because Adobe now is using HTML5 for everything.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, it was a good idea 15 years ago, and the internet has moved on, and now people who make things need to move on.
Yeah, you're not gonna hurt Adobe's feelings.
Yeah, exactly.
Just move on to HTML5. It's a way better platform. Everything about it is just better.
Yeah, exactly. And like, I'm in a similar, like, I love Adobe's stuff. Like, I use Photoshop all the time. I use Premiere for all of my video editing.
Mm-hmm.
I think they're very, very good tools. If Adobe comes out with some piece of software that does a thing that I want to do, I will probably prefer that over anything else. They themselves are now saying don't use Flash, so I'm gonna trust them on this one.
So yeah, I haven't tried to access any streams or anything. I have actually watched. No, I fired up one stream just to see how it looked, and it looked good. And I was like, all right, well, I'm sold.
It was a porn stream, wasn't it?
No, unfortunately, well, those disappeared. But they were apparently up, and they were like the number one streamed thing.
I'm sure.
It was like, oh yeah, it's just
let's be
number
honest.
one game being BBC 2.0. Oh, great!
Yeah,
That's what
let's be honest. It was the first time a lot of people watching had seen that. I had to.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, on top of just porn was the obvious one, right? But like people were streaming like full on movies.
Yeah.
And it's like they put out something that doesn't really have. So here's the thing: when stuff starts going crazy in Twitch, you start reporting. You go report it, right? And then and I'm sure you've been there for this. But when things are going crazy in a stream on Twitch, a Twitch model show up, and usually he'll make himself known.
Yeah,
he'll be like, "Sup, what's going on?" Right?
Yeah,
kind of like he's like walking into a room or something, like like actual physical room. It's like, "Hey guys, what's up? What's going on?" Like
it's like when you're having exactly. You're having a party and someone wearing a blue suit and a badge walks in, and everybody just goes,
yeah, that's exactly what it is. But and that's the thing. It's like they have that kind of presence, and I don't think that Steam has that yet. Like where you can hit report and then they'll show up and they'll remove things. I just don't think like Twitch just has that very personal presence, which is kind of neat.
Yeah, Steam is gonna need like you said earlier, they've got like 2 support people. Like they're gonna need a lot more support if they want to blow it up as big as something like Twitch is. It seems like so far, like they're at least in like the marketing stuff that they put out, it's been mostly like, hey, here you can share this with your friends, like. If you're playing a game and you want your friends to watch you, then you can share this with your friends, and not so much as like a, like, would you like to be a famous live streamer? Then do this sort of thing. And I don't actually know, like, do they even have ads or anything like that? Like, is anybody even getting monetization out of streaming on Steam?
No, it's brand new.
Yeah,
it's brand new. It's basically just like news and beta. I don't even know if it's a beta, but I think
it's only accessible through the beta client.
Yeah, that's right. Because I got an update earlier today or yesterday with it. So I've not done it yet. But if I go to certain games, like probably a game that's popular. What's a game that's popular that I play? Ooh. Yeah, I don't know. Anyways, but you can probably very easily find streams for these games, and it's available right there. It's like watch other people play this game.
Yeah.
So they're promoting it really well because you have to go click on play, and right next to that you're gonna see, watch other people play this game. Smart. It's super smart, man. It's super smart.
Yeah. I will be curious to see where things can go in terms of monetization with it. Because that's going to be the big one. Because, like, as we've seen with sites like Owned, if you can't pay your people, then they go away. And then you go bankrupt. I mean, I don't think Valve is at any risk of going bankrupt as a result of this. But, like... You're still not going to get people streaming on, like, at least big names are not going to be streaming on Steam. And what'll actually happen is people will be streaming on Steam, they'll stream on there for a while, and then eventually they'll build up enough of a following through Steam that they go, I can make money off of this if I switch over to Twitch, and they'll make that switch, and then they're not on Steam anymore. So... Yeah. I'm really curious to see how that's just going to be a big indicator of how things can go long term for Steam streaming as like a major like source of entertainment. Is if there's ways for streamers to start making money off of it.
Well, what if
knowing Valve, they could just start paying streamers.
Yeah. Let's say I'm thinking, what if they just kind of forego the whole let's pay streamers. Because we've just enabled millions of people with the ability to stream, so there's always content there. There's bound to be... It's one of those things, like, when you have access to enough people, it's like pop music, right? It's like, oh, so you don't like your contract? No problem. There's another 18-year, 17-year, 18-year-old girl who's pretty, who has an okay voice we can auto-tune and make work, and it could probably dance. And if you can't, then no big deal. We'll find somebody else. Like, that mentality exists in the music industry. I wouldn't be surprised if, maybe... I don't know if they're doing this, but if they just said, wait, you know what? There's plenty of people streaming. If somebody wants to get paid and they can't do it because they want to get paid and they drop off, guess what? Somebody else will jump right in there and take over.
Yeah, I could see that. I could totally see them taking that approach, and it would probably still work. If that's all they want to do with it, that would still probably work. If they're fine with having people, like... Once they get big enough, they leave the platform entirely. It's Like I could totally see them going, especially with all the, like I said, the marketing they've been doing about this is for you to stream to your friends, not necessarily this is how to be America's next top live streamer or whatever.
Right? Yeah.
Like I could totally see them doing that. At the same time, though, I feel like the comparison to the music industry doesn't work quite as well, because you'll have like 40 or 50 favorite music bands that you listen to, or maybe favorite musicians that you listen to. There's the word I was looking for.
Yeah.
Like you'll have a ton of different types of music that you listen to. You'll have maybe like 3 or 4 streamers that you follow super closely. And like if you're someone who watches what's a good example here? Like a really, really big name streamer. If you're somebody who watches like PewDiePie or something, I don't even know if he streams. I think he's just YouTube.
Yeah.
Let me think of an actual. If you're someone who watches Towley,
there you go.
You watch Towley. You're like you see him on the top of the like WoW list at some point, and you're like, oh, let's see what this guy's all about. And you start watching Towley, and you're like, yeah, I'm really, really into this guy. I like how he's kind of halfway a dick most of the time. This is the sort of entertainment that I really like. I mean, don't get me wrong. Towley's a decent enough person.
No, but that makes sense.
Sort of his online persona is that like he kind of acts kind of rambunctious, I guess is a good way to put it. And if you're somebody who's totally into that and like this is exactly what I want to watch all the time, then you're going to watch Towley every time he starts streaming. And if he's not streaming, maybe there's a couple others that you watch, but then you see Towley start streaming again. You're like, oh, I gotta go watch Towley because Towley's. I gotta see what Towley is doing. It's like, it's almost like television. Like if you're watching Game of Thrones, and all of a sudden Game of Thrones goes over. They're done with HBO for some reason, which wouldn't ever make any sense whatsoever because HBO produces the thing. But let's say, for example, that Game of Thrones all of a sudden went over to ABC or something. You would start watching ABC on Game of Thrones. It's a crazy example, but that's sort of what I'm trying to. That's sort of the point. Is that it's a crazy concept. Is if Game of Thrones was not on HBO anymore, you would not watch HBO. You wouldn't just be like, well, I guess I'll watch whatever's left on HBO at this point. You would go to wherever Game of Thrones was. Same sort of thing happens if like when Hulu drops something and Netflix picks it up. You don't watch whatever's left over on Hulu. You go to Netflix to watch it, sort of thing.
Yeah. So I see what you're saying, because the option for Steam is to then be like, well, let's pay those people, and when they do that, they're basically making partners, and they're essentially turning it to Twitch. But if they're just saying, hey, everything you do, every game you play can be streamed, then that's not competing with Twitch, because with Twitch you have to, for the most part, actively go and seek out XSplit, OBC, something, right? OBS, sure. and then go and actually start streaming. You have to decide to stream and put thought into it and research and then do all that. In this case, they're just basically like, just stream. Yeah, just go and stream.
Just push the button.
Push the stream button. So this takes them completely out of the space of trying to compete with Twitch, because they're just letting anybody stream anything. But once somebody does get popular enough to start, I think it could go in phases. I mean, they might just roll out. They might just be smart and be like, we're just going to, compete with Twitch, which I don't know if is necessarily smart, because right now they're not competing with Twitch by doing this. If they were just like, okay, this person's like quite a following, maybe we'll just like start paying them. Well, that works for that one guy. But what happens when you have like 100 people who are really popular because there's 100 different popular games that people will watch? Now you're starting to basically create a partner type system. You have to create a system in order to manage these people. And that's when they're going to start really competing with Twitch, which honestly, taking that more organic approach would kind of make sense, because they're creating their own stars in a sense, and then creating a way for them to stay on stay on Steam by paying them, and then creating a partner program, and then they could expand it from there. So there's kind of like just organically creating a competitor to Twitch, because right now they're not really competing with them. Yeah,
exactly. That's why I said earlier, like maybe Valve just starts paying their streamers. It wouldn't be too far fetched given some of the stuff they've done in the past, like paying TF2 like creators for like the models and maps and stuff that they make. Like the TF2, I forget the term for it, but like almost mod creators for TF2, they'll actually just pay them for stuff. And a huge part of that is because Valve has such a weird business model compared to every other like business like at all.
Yeah.
Because their whole business model is Steam, basically. Like their whole thing is get people to use Steam. Because then once you're using Steam, you'll buy stuff on Steam. If you're launching Steam, you're in the Steam client, you see something on Steam, you'll buy something through Steam, and Valve gets a cut of the profits. Yep. That's why they do stuff like they came out with Alien Swarm a while back for totally free because it got people to use Steam.
Yep. And then there's Dota.
There's Dota, totally free. Obviously, it has some free-to-play elements to it, but like all the heroes are free, and that's because it gets people to use Steam. Like that's how you
amount of people to use Steam.
Yeah, exactly.
Yep.
That's why they can put so much freaking money into the international, and like not even have to worry about necessarily streaming it on anything because you can watch it in game in Dota 2.
I know.
And the way to do that is to download Steam. Like their whole business model is get people to use Steam.
Yeah.
So if I absolutely, I 1000% think it would actually be a really, really good move for Valve to look at people like Rekful or like Bajira or Swifty or people like that and be like, we're just going to pay you to stream on Steam. You don't have to run ads. In fact, there aren't any ads at all. You don't have to do anything. Just be on Steam and streaming, and we will pay you X amount like per hour that you stream or something like that. Like work out something, I'm sure. We will just pay you to be on Steam, and people, in order to watch it, have to download Steam to actually watch the stream. And now that they've got Steam installed, there's all these little things all around all over the place that are like, hey, how's it going? You know, Far Cry just came out. You should buy some Far Cry. Oh, Far Cry's not your deal? Well, there's this Sunset Overdrive. You should check that out.
Yeah. No, so
I don't actually even know if Sunset Overdrive is
I think it's a PS4 or Xbox. It's an exclusive to something, I think.
Yeah.
But
it was just a name that came to mind.
Yeah, like right now, like you can watch any tournament like in the Dota client, which is
no
really
ads.
cool. Yeah,
no ads. It even has like the commentators in there. It's not like you're spectating like through like League of Legends has a spectate mode, which if you really want for an online tournament, you can sometimes figure out a way to spectate it through the spectate mode. I think there used to be a way to do that. I don't know if it still exists anymore, but you can't hear the commentators, so you have to have the stream open anyway.
Yeah, so that's the thing. So that what they've done with Dota is they've created an extremely lightweight streaming client because all of the actual power and all the actual energy and everything is being spent by the computer, the local computer. Like streaming an audio feed, give me a break, dude. Like streaming MP3, okay, yeah.
Yeah, exactly. It's so crazy. Like you think about like my initial reaction when they were like, "Oh, we're gonna have the audio feed for the commentators right in Dota 2." My brain went, that's ridiculous. It's gonna be so laggy and crappy. And then it's like, wait, actually, no, that's like the easiest thing in the universe.
Yeah, and so here's the thing.
Why
right
is
now
no one else doing this?
With Steam, the way it works right now with Steam in-home streaming is you are essentially playing. You're sending commands to your computer that is in the other room, from the client machine. So you're just viewing a video of that. Like, so if you go to that computer that's running it, because it has to run it, right? It's actually running it. You can actually watch yourself playing through a different computer on that machine. So what's stopping them from making it so that any game that you have can be streamed, but you're not actually streaming video, it's just launching the client and you're just sending the commands.
Yeah. It would depend on the game, but yeah, totally. I could see something like that accidentally tripping like botting detection and stuff. But I think most of the games would be using Valve's anti-cheat anyways.
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah, it's they're already doing it in home.
Yeah.
So there's nothing stopping them from making that happen. And just imagine like any game you have will play. You could watch somebody else play it at the fidelity that you could play it, which is huge. That is huge.
Yeah, and that's why that's why the Dota thing works so ridiculously well. Is you don't have to download this full 1080p 60 frames per second stream, use up a shit ton of bandwidth to be able to do that. You just launch the game and listen to an audio feed. Mm-hmm. It's really good.
Oh, Steam.
Oh, Steam. What will you do next? Next, it'll be Steam Fresh, which delivers vegetables.
Well, they're actually, that this is all gonna go into Steam OS.
Yeah.
So they're gonna do everything that they do. Just know that it's gonna be part of an operating system.
Yeah, Valve is. I'm gonna don the tinfoil hat here for just a second and go to the lengths of saying that Valve is very carefully setting themselves up so that eventually there can be like one piece that falls into place and they've taken over the world.
Yep.
Like they're gonna be the next Google. Like they're just gonna keep adding these little things here and there. Oh, you can stream now. Oh, you can actually buy physical products off of Steam now. We're gonna do that thing. Oh, you can do this all this other crap. You can now buy plane tickets through Valve. Oh, we've got a search engine now through Steam and stuff like that. Oh, the Steam web browser has been expanded, and now it's actually really good, so you can just browse the web through Steam.
Oh, man.
And also now we have our Steam payment system, which is like, this is all stuff that could absolutely happen. Like the Steam wallet all of a sudden becomes like an actual currency, and they like a PayPal sort of thing, or you can pay for all sorts of stuff using your Steam wallet. And then the next thing you know, Valve is the new Google, only with the Steam smartphone comes out.
Oh,
and
dude,
yeah, it's gonna happen. That's where we're headed.
It is gonna happen. Apple, people have been talking about Apple doing it, so you could take just about any game, and think about this, like they were doing this before anybody else. If you have Apple TV, you basically just turned your TV into your iPhone into a console. It's like you just mirror it to Apple TV and it's on your TV in 1080p. Well, before it was 720p. And boom, there you go. Now you have a console. It was not necessarily good, but it was them. All they're saying is, oh yeah, you can mirror videos and watch videos on TV, whatever. No, they're very slowly working themselves into this field.
Yeah.
And Steam is right there. They're totally gonna do it.
They're gonna eventually expand all their social networking features, and Steam's gonna be the new Twitter. And yeah, it'll happen. Give it 20 years, but it'll happen. We'll get there. All right.
That sounds.
I don't know about you, but I'm hungry.
Yeah.
And we've been talking for like almost 2 hours.
We have. I need another drink. I ran out. I should start keeping the vodka and tonic like near me when we do this.
Just have like a vodka and tonic and a lime and like a cutting board.
So cutting board. You can start hearing.
Yeah.
As I chop away at it.
Yeah. I could tell we were going long when I finished my hour-and-a-half mission that I started just before the show.
Oh my god. Yeah, a little bit.
Yeah.
Well, that was a good show.
Yeah.
We had a little personal kid dad weird break in the middle, but that was good.
Yeah.
That was good because we figured out how Steam was going to take over the world somehow from that.
Yeah. Yep.
Okay. Well, I guess I'll see you next week, dude.
Yeah. Oh, we have schedule things.
Oh. Well, I mean,
we should mention. Basically, we'll talk more about it in future episodes, I'm sure. But basically, I'm going on vacation for like 3 weeks at the end of December, so there's not going to be a show for a little while. Sorry. We warned you.
Yeah. It's I mean, just to kind of like keep moving on that. Like today, a lot of the people at Zam were all like they're talking about the schedule and everything, and I was in my face was in other things at the moment, and I was listening to them, and I was like, what are they talking about? And I went and dug it up, and dude, we have like the craziest. Let me read this to you. This is our freaking holiday schedule here. Let's see. Christmas Eve off, obviously. Christmas Day off. The day after Christmas, like day, we have off, which I guess it's a Friday or something. And then there's the weekend, and then we work for Monday, Tuesday, and then we're off all the way through to the following Monday.
Wow.
So like if you take 2 days off, you're getting 2 weeks off.
Yeah. Yeah, that's sort of how it ended up.
And I've heard that's what you're doing, right?
Yeah, that's sort of how it ended up with me, because we have from Christmas Eve until like I think it's the 2nd we have off, like that whole time. Just like go have fun with your family. It's all like sort of intended for you can go fly home, because nobody who lives in South California is actually from South California.
Makes sense.
So you can all go to wherever and have time with your families, etc. And it just works out nicely that if you've saved up like a couple of weeks of vacation time, which I have, you can get like 3.5 weeks off.
That's so good. It's so good.
Yeah, so I'm taking myself a nice long vacation. Like expansion's out, things are gonna settle down for a little while, I hope, and I'm gonna be like, all right, I can go and relax a bit, and do nothing for a while, and that'll be good.
So let me. I have
actually going overseas. I'm heading over to Europe. Should be fun. I'm gonna do the tour around Europe thing a little bit, which also probably means that at some point I'll end up in Blizzard's European office doing work. So.
No. Which leads me to my request from the Wildhead team: do not release anything over the holidays. I'll kill you. Please don't. No, don't do anything. No content, anything. Stop. Just
all right. All right.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
Don't get your hopes up.
God damn it.